The South Carolina State Transportation Infrastructure Bank has given Charleston County an extension deadline on 5/26. In this special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with Chairman Vince Graham. Vince.
Quintin.
It's so good seeing you.
Nice to see you.
Yes, sir.
Happy New Year.
Likewise.
Thanks.
Let me start off with the obvious, and it's a couple of headlines. It says this: State Bank Board votes to extend I-526 funding deadline. Another headline: I-526 funding under scrutiny in said meeting. Then there's another headline: I-526 extension decision delayed until March. And also, here's another headline: DOT chairman calls out irresponsible meddling in 526 sales tax vote. You told the Post and Courier, I believe when you first became chairman, that you are in a listen and learn mode. And I'm wondering, what are you listening to and what are you learning from as far as your time as chairman?
Well, it's listened and learned a lot, I think, and I still am listen and learn mode. This has been the big issue that's been on the bank's top of their list for a long time, the issue of 526, not way before my time,
Right.
as you know. I think you can actually look back to the late 60s, and when before the 526 was called the Mark Clark Expressway, it was called the Inner Belt Expressway, and there was a lot of controversy even then. So anyway, I've learned to try to be more patient and just to try to understand all the sides and see what can be worked out.
Speaking of which, you said something interesting that I want to talk to you more about. You said that the bank only grants money, but it doesn't run projects. So the bank isn't really responsible for other costs. As we sit here right now, Vince, can you describe to me the South Carolina Infrastructure Transportation Bank?
Well, it was set up 20 years ago. Actually, 20 years ago, this 2017 will mark the 20th year. And it was set up originally with the idea to fund some specific, or facilitate the funding of some specific projects around the state, including the Ravenel Bridge. That's kind of the poster child. After which, it was like any good government organization, it stayed around.
Right.
And it created the kind of the provisions where a locality could come and apply to the bank for money for new projects that were needed by those. It was felt was needed by those localities, and Charleston County and 526 were one of those that applied for this funding.
Yeah.
But we don't go search out projects. That's not what we've done in the past. We are simply reacting to applications that local government files or applies for.
Let's rewind time to December 14th. You and the SITB board, that is, were in Columbia to hear from the Charleston County leaders about the future of 526. And this particular headline was posted on Live 5 News' website, quote, I-526 project revived at Wednesday board meeting. How would you rewrite that headline?
Well, that's, people might think of that as wishful thinking.
Right.
We've given them some more time, what the bank voted to do, to see if they could come up with the money. My history with this over the last year, Quintin, has been that the project came in, a new estimate for the cost of the project came in the fall of 2015.
Right.
It's substantially higher. So we simply came back to the county and said, all right, we will affirm our previous commitment to the county for this project, but you have to show us where the rest of the money's coming from. Show us the money. And we gave them time to do that. They did not come forward with a plan on how to fund it. And so in May of last year, we voted to take that money away, much to their dismay, and particularly the dismay, I think, of Mayor Tecklenburg and some others who he had campaigned on. That was one of his big issues that he had campaigned on. So they've worked hard and done all this research, and they did not, unfortunately, put it on. They refused. The county refused to put this issue on the referendum
Right.
over the half-cent sales tax. Probably, I mean, I don't know, but I assume because they thought that the citizens wouldn't support the referendum if it were on there. So I've asked numerous times if the county leaders and the city leaders aren't even willing to put the project on the referendum,
Right.
then how can they expect the rest of the state citizens how can they look to the rest of the state citizens to fund it?
Speaking of which, Elliot Summey, the chairman of the Charleston County Council, told Live 5 News, quote, "We got a little ray of hope. They did not kill the project." Is that true?
No, that's true. We're still waiting,
Wow.
so they have a little more time to try to figure it out.
Wow. And what should the project look like in your mind right now?
What should it look like?
Yes, sir.
Well, I think they just need to come up with a definitive plan on how to fund the balance of the cost. It should be the original project applied for was to a completed 526
Right.
from Savannah Highway to Folly Road.
Right.
And how to fund that is how they're planning to fund the balance of that cost is what we're looking for.
You also said this too in the past, that large roads and highways through the middle of cities is not the answer. So what is?
Well, I mean, I know you grew up in downtown Charleston,
Yes.
and you're a man who walks. I think when we made the mistake in the 60s of building roads like the Crosstown Expressway and I-26 into the middle of cities. It did a lot of damage to urban neighborhoods, created a lot of blight that's still there. And it did not, I would argue, relieve congestion. It didn't relieve the congestion problem. It created other problems. So, I mean, I have no silver bullet to solution for things, Quintin. I'm not going to suggest them. But I do think that that we should learn from the past and not make the same mistakes.
Let me turn to the Elliot Summey tapes. He made some controversial remarks about 526 as well as his colleagues on Charleston County Council. When you heard that, where were you emotionally?
Well, I thought it was sad and unfortunate. I had been confused in meetings with Elliot previously because it seemed like, I couldn't tell where he was coming from. So it kind of helped explain my quizzical feelings about it.
And of course, as you know, over the past couple of months, he threatened to, throw a lawsuit at the South Carolina Transportation Infrastructure Bank. What did you tell yourself then?
Well, I thought that was unfortunate too. I thought that was a lot in large part, bluster on his part. But, it was unfortunate that we should seek to litigate rather than just talk it through.
Yeah. If I were to talk to you for Quintin's close-ups, I guess, a year from now, what would you say about 526 and that extension?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I continue to think that there are other alternatives to that road that are very worth exploring and would be a lot less expensive.
Flyovers?
I mean, flyovers on at Savannah Highway might be one option.
Okay.
Others might be creating a better street network that involves a slower design speed that's more conducive to either a place like downtown or a place like Jones Island. I don't think this high design speed infrastructure is very expensive, and I'm not sure that it's not counterproductive a lot of times.
Vince Graham, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Well, thank you, Quintin. It's great to be with you.
Likewise.